Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be playing the first page from the beginning to letter H of the Classical Symphony, the first violin part, which is pretty much asked in every audition. As far as I have seen, it's pretty much standard to find it. So I will give some highlights. I will talk a little bit about the composer, the piece and all, and then I will play. So Sergei Prokofiev, I don't think so he needs so many introductions. As you may know, he was a very important Russian composer. He was born in 1891 and he died in 1953. This piece was written in between 1916 and 1917 on a time that Prokofiev was just taking a time off the city, and he went far to a small town just to get away from all these regiment things, because as you might know, that time it was not Russia, it was the Soviet Union. So we were aware that they were doing a lot of political movements and all these things. So he just was trying to get some air out of this socialism and all these things that were going around. So about the piece, the name classical is not just because the piece is done with some elements of the classicism. It's a sort of ironical joke from Prokofiev to his time and to his people. So what that means is that he took the structure for movements of the work, standard rotation of instruments, you know, flutes, clarinets, bassoons, timpani, like everything is standard of the full orchestra, classical orchestra, and even went that much far to bring the same elements of structure of the movements. However, he just translate all these classical mannerisms and forms to his own terms, in a sort of joke, to say like, okay, in something so strict, so square-like, you know, I'm going to do this that amazingly on my way, that is gonna be me all over the place, which he did. So at first glance, one might think that we're gonna go to this work and be really serious, and yeah, we are serious with tempos and all of these things, right? But his approach is more of a cynical joke rather than the classical Haydn or Mozart or treatment that we would try to take with their works. So on that sense, I will talk about this Excerpt and of the piece. So this first part of the Classical Symphony has a very high level of difficulty, and that's why it's kept being asked in many auditions. Not only because it's technically difficult, is because the abrupt changes of pianissimo to fortissimo in less than one bar or in one bar, the amount of sound required to make these things, the refinement of the detail, that it's as important as it was on the classicism, you know, like really pure, clean articulation that you would want on those specific works. You want it here, but it's just so fast. If we go in depth with the tempos of each movement, and specifically in this first movement, the tempo is extremely fast. So it's it's sort of like hearing one Mozart symphony on X2, X3 speed on YouTube. So yeah, you get that idea of impatience, of uncertainty, of going everything so fast, but it has to be so precise at the same time, so it becomes funny. So on that same idea, you have to take care of tempo, character, accuracy, of course the intonation, of course the phrasing, of course all of this, right? So if we do look at the score, leaving apart all of this, that by itself you can get that information from the single page of the first violin, it's important to know what is happening around. So in the very first beginning, we have the tutti, and as abrupt decay of instrumentation, we just have the strings supporting all this coming back up. We do have some beats that need the context of the instruments that keep the motion going. What I mean is that, yeah, the accompaniment, but not only like the accompaniment of the tempo, but the line itself, because ends one line and immediately another chain goes and starts another thing. Okay, so on that sense, one of the difficulties of this excuse me, this Excerpt is the rests. So the beginning is fine, everything goes well, pretty straightforward. Some things that only the first violins do, some quintuplets are the violins are the only ones that are actively doing this. Then we get this first rest, series of big rests, more than one rest around letter C, before letter C, three bars before. So we do need to know what is sounding there. So at that point, the most important line is on the second violin. So even though we're performing solo, on the background of our mind, we have to keep that line going, okay? The same, we have to know that on letter D, there is a bassoon playing every single rest that we are not playing. So that's something to think about. Before letter F, there is the second violins, the flute going. So what I mean is that because of the way this is written, it can not only be counted as rests alone, it will just jeopardize the whole excerpt and the continuity. So we have to kind of have that this line going. Okay, so without anything further, I will play the first page.